Welcome everyone. I want to congratulate you all for taking the time to educate yourself tonight to possibly find a better outcome for your retirement. 2 weeks ago, I had a phone call with a gentleman who had $1 million in his 401k at the beginning of this year. He had planned on retiring in about 2 years. His 401k allocation was 60, or still is 60% stocks, 40% bonds. His 401k account is down $200,000 so far this year. Now he didn't understand why he had lost so much money. He didn't know what to do. Should he postpone his retirement? He had planned to take his wife to Hawaii for a 10-day trip in the fall. Should he cancel that or reschedule? Should he make changes in his 401k, or should he just ignore it and hope for the best? Just some housekeeping here. If you can hear me and see my screen, if you would type yes in the chat box. If you can hear me and see my screen, please type yes in the chat box. And I will wait for a couple of those before we move forward. There we go. Okay. Thank you. My name is Michael Owens, and I am a holistic advisor that specializes in retirement income planning. I'm the president of Carolina Financial Services Group. My team and I, we help pre-retirees and retirees design a retirement plan so that they can sleep well at night. Our risk reduction strategies will either reduce, transfer, or eliminate the major risk for your retirement. We give lots of these webinars across the country, and many times people ask, well, what was your motivation for becoming an advisor? And for me, it was personal. That comes from both of my grandparents having to have stay-at-home care the last few years of their lives. My grandmother's name was Annie. She was a principal and teacher. My grandfather's name was Mark. He was a farmer. My grandfather got Parkinson's disease at the age of 70. If you know anything about Parkinson's, it takes control of your lifestyle. And when you lose control of your lifestyle, for whatever reason it is very difficult to regain that control. He died at the age of 79. At the age of 93, my grandmother needed stay-at-home care. Her stay-at-home the care cost $36,000 a year. And this was over 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Today's cost of stay-at-home care starts at $55,000 a year. How much do you think this type of care will cost in 10 to 15 years? If you would, place that in the chat box for me. How much do you think this care will cost in 10 to 15 years? Okay, I've got a couple, 100,000, maybe more. How have you prepared for this type of risk for your retirement? The point I'm making is this: you must be prepared for the what ifs and not surprised by them during retirement. You must be prepared for the what ifs so you will not be surprised by them during retirement. What we're going to learn tonight is we're going to learn about the history of the stock market and why you should not just ride it out. Our risk reduction strategies that they will help you avoid future and deeper losses. We're going to understand what is driving the recent market corrections. We're going to look at some actions you can take now to turn crisis into an opportunity. And then finally, we're going to look to see the two ways to generate income during retirement: the right way and the wrong way. Before we get started, this is a live event, So in order to get the most of this webinar, please turn off your cell phone. Click out of any windows that you are in. If you're in a room where you can close the door and focus. Give yourself this 45 minutes to focus on your retirement. This information is critical for you. If you've got questions for me, please ask those questions in the chat box. I will wait until the end to answer those, but we will try to get to as many of those as possible. Also, the workshop itself will probably answer most of your questions. Do me a favor and grab a pen and a pad to take some notes, and I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. During tonight's workshop, from time to time, I will suggest that you write some information now. So if you would, if you don't already have one, go ahead and grab a pen and a pad. We do have a special offer tonight, and that offer is a complete retirement planning analysis. Now, this analysis will review the risks and challenges that we'll cover tonight. More importantly, this analysis will be based on your personal situation. Now, in order to take advantage of this offer, you must stay with us until the end. Now, this applies to you if you're suffering from some type of negative impact from the recent stock market volatility. If you don't know what to do next or how the recent crisis will impair your future plans, and if you want to ensure that your lifestyle doesn't change in retirement due to uncontrollable circumstances. My goal as an advisor is this, and that is to work with conservative people who want peaceful retirements. The gentleman that I mentioned earlier, he's lost $200,000 in his 401k this year. He's in panic mode right now. And he's worried that he will not have a peaceful retirement. And maybe some of you tonight feel the same way. So what does a conservative investor want to do? Well, travel, visit with family. These people are looking to protect and generate income from their assets. They're looking for professional guidance, assistance with their retirement income needs. They understand that the distribution phase of retirement, that's when you start taking income from your retirement accounts, is totally different from the accumulation phase. This is the first thing I would ask you to write down tonight. They understand that the distribution phase of retirement, that is when you retire and you start taking income off of your retirement accounts and assets. They understand that the distribution phase is different, totally different than the accumulation phase. Now, these are people who realize that they can no longer manage their retirement accounts by themselves. This is probably the most money they've ever had in their lives. Or even if they could, they would rather spend time traveling, visiting family, gardening, golfing, etc. So this is what the offer will look like, and we'll go back through this again later on. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what this looks like. And I have pinned this at the top of the chat box. So if you look at the chat box, you'll see up there it says current offer. At any time, you can click on schedule your call and it'll take you to this. So once you hit the schedule your call button, you'll see my calendar pop up. It looks exactly like this one, exactly like this one. There's a blue dot for each day. You click on the date that works best for you. There are a couple of dates that I have for tomorrow, I think Thursday and Friday. That's why you're seeing it. We're going into August now. Now, once you click on the date, another page will pop up. You'll have time slots on the right-hand side. You pick the time that works best for you. And once you've done that, a final page will pop up where you fill in your information. Please share with us why you want to take advantage of the offer. Uncertainty. That certainly has been the theme so far this year, uncertainty and volatility. If you're worried about your retirement account, how much will there be after the market downturn? How long will your money last if you keep the money in the market? And then where is your income going to be in retirement? Right now, the stock market is down roughly 20% so far this year. Inflation is at 9%, which is the highest it has been in over 40 years. Now, here is some recent news here, and it does kind of feel like the world is kind of turned upside down. There's been a lot of stock market volatility. There's higher inflation, higher gas prices, higher food prices, higher interest rates. Matter of fact, the Fed is going to meet tomorrow, the Federal Reserve. They meet tomorrow and they will come out at 2 o'clock Eastern and tell us how much they're going to raise short-term rates now. Now, the consensus is they're going to raise it 0.75%. But there's some people that think, some economists that think that they may raise rates a full 1%. Okay, a full 1%. Is the economy going into a recession? The definition of recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP. Tomorrow, we also get the GDP number for the second quarter. And the first quarter, it dropped 1.6%. Tomorrow, we'll get the number for the second quarter. Now, if that is a negative number, then officially we will be in a recession. Now, many economists are saying that we are going to repeat what happened in 1973 and 1974. Don't know if you recall how that was. However, back then there was runaway inflation, weak growth. This is called stagflation. Does that sound familiar? In 73 and 74, the stock market dropped over 40%. So far this year, the stock market has dropped 20%. So let's take a look at the history of the market. If I were to ask you what the average annual return for the S&P 500 of the last 20 years, if I ask you what that average annual return was, what would you say? What would you say? 5%, 7%, 10%? What do you think the average annual return has been for the S&P 500 over the last 20 years? Let's take a look at this chart. Normally what we get in response to that is somewhere around 8 to 10% as an average annual return. But you must be careful talking about averages. Here's an example. My wife and I run on average 10 miles a week. Now my wife runs 20 miles a week and I run 0. Did I lie to you? No. Did I tell you the whole truth? No. This is why you must be very careful when you're talking about averages. Now, if you look at this chart, you'll see on the left-hand side, it has January 2000, and then you'll see a line that goes across, says 0% return for 13 years. So from 2000 to 2013, the stock market gave you a 0% return. Now, wait a minute. What happened to the 8 to 10% a year? Also, if you'll look, you'll see that there were 2 times where you see 100% in green. Those were 2 times where the market had a rally of 100% during that 13-year period. However, had you been in the market from January of 2000 all the way through January of 2013, your return would have been a 0% return. Now, think about this. What if you had retired in 2000? Most of your money was in the stock market. Let's say you retired at 65. In 2000, most of your money's in the market, and you got a 0% return for 13 years. That means when you turn 78 years old, you had no return for the previous 13 years. None. Just think about that. Now you see the minus 50, that's a leg that went down 50%, then a leg went back up 100%, and down 50% and 100%. You know what that's called? That's called a roller coaster. And as I get older, as my clients get older, I don't even want to get on a Ferris wheel. I certainly do not want to get on a roller coaster. If we look at the 20-year period, you'll see in the middle of the page, and that line that says riding it out, that's for the entire 20-year period. You see 5.1% as an average annual return. 5%, 5.1%. Now, Wall Street firms, investment firms, 401k firms, they all say, no, you've got to stay in the market. You've got to ride it out. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to risk it all or most of it, it's not going to be for 5%. It's going to have to be a whole lot more than 5%. This is why it is so important to know the history of the market, because your retirement is not going to be 5 or 10 years. More than likely, it's going to be 25 to 35 years or more. I spoke with a lady today. She's 70. Her mom is still living at 102. Now, her mom lives with her. She's still in good health. She walks a mile every single day. She's healthy at 102 years old. Now, you shouldn't ride it out if it's causing you anxiety and loss of sleep. Remember earlier when I talked about how my team and I, what we do is we help people design retirement plans so that they can sleep well at night. That's very important. If you should not ride it out if it's causing you anxiety or loss of sleep. If maintaining your lifestyle and your retirement is important to you. If you're planning a retirement that exceeds more than 10 years, you're currently taking income, which means you're already in retirement, and you also are having to take RMDs, required minimum distributions, and you are forced to take those once you turn age 72. If you're riding it out, again, if riding it out is causing you to lose sleep at night, you're worried about maintaining your lifestyle during retirement, you'll want to take advantage of our offer. Understanding the market. Markets, like news, is unpredictable. They're unpredictable. We have no control over them whatsoever. It's probably going to happen again. And market declines can be even more hurtful during retirement. So if most of your money is in the market and you're also taking money out of those accounts as income to live on, and you're doing that while your accounts are going down, that's extremely hurtful. So what should you do? You must understand that when you go from the accumulation stage into the distribution stage, so if you go from the growth stage where you've been growing your nest egg for the last 30 years, now you're 2 to 3 years out from retirement. You're kind of in that transition phase. And before you end that, you're going to go into the distribution phase when you start taking income out of your accounts. Once you do that, and this is one of the big mistakes that we see people make, if you don't make that shift between the growth strategies that you were using when you were growing your nest eggs to the income strategies once you get into retirement, that is one of the biggest mistakes that we see a lot of people make. See, during retirement, you must find reliable, predictable, and permanent income to replace the paycheck that you used to get when you were working. Write that down. During retirement, you must find reliable, predictable, permanent sources of income. Those things are going to replace the paycheck that you used to get when you were working. So, what is the right way and what is the wrong way to take your income? Have you heard of the 4% rule? If you would, in the chat box, just let me know yes. Have you heard or read about the 4% rule? Okay, we've got a couple of people there. Conventional wisdom from Wall Street firms, 401k firms, brokerage houses, advisors that only use growth strategies. They say that you should be able to live on 4% of your account and not run out of money in 30 years. Now, most of the people that are saying this are not retirement income specialists. So these people that are talking about the 4% rule and, if you take the 4% out, you're not going to run out of money. Most of them are not retirement income specialists. The 4% rule suggests that if you want your retirement nest egg to last at least 30 years, you should withdraw 4% every year. Now, this sounds great in theory. However, it is an older rule, and following it no longer guarantees that you will not run out of money. My team and I call this the 4% myth. Write that down. The 4% myth. If you read the fine print, what it says that you have a 90% chance that your money will last for 30 years. Not 100%, but a 90% chance of your money lasting 30 years. I don't know about you, but I would never get on an airplane if I knew I only had a 90% chance of making it safely to my destination. What if you live 35 to 40 years during retirement? 4% rule only covers 30. Now, as part of our analysis, we will run an income stress test on your retirement assets. So you'll definitely want to take advantage of our offer. One other thing that I'll mention about this chart as well, you had $500,000 invested. 4% rule means you're taking out 20,000 in income. On March 9th of 2020, I don't know if any of you remember that or not, but it wasn't that long ago. March 9th of 2020, you would have lost $38,000 in that one day. That means you lost nearly 2 years of income in 9 hours. How long did you have to work to make that 2 years worth of income? Chasing returns when you are taking income is a very dangerous strategy. You see, retirement is about having enough income to live the type of lifestyle that you want. Again, conventional wisdom says that you should be able to live on 80% of what you're living on now before you retire. You should be able to live on 80% in retirement. I don't know where that came from, but I can tell you that none of my clients that are retired want to take a 20% haircut on their lifestyle. They all want the same lifestyle that they had before they retired. What sense does it make for you to work 30 to 35 years, save all that money, do without some things, and then cut your lifestyle by 20%? Tell me how that makes sense. The distribution phase is about having enough income to live the type of lifestyle that you want to live. It's about preserving your principal. It's about using risk reduction strategies that will either reduce, eliminate, or transfer the major risk to your retirement. These strategies will provide clarity, certainty, and peace of mind. If you have those three things in retirement, you're going to have a happy, healthy retirement. Now, if you'd like to see how our retirement strategies would work, take advantage of our offer. I don't know if many of you recognize these pictures. You probably do. This is Ricky and Lucy on the left, and Fred and Ethel on the right. I mentioned earlier there's going to be a right way and a wrong way to take income during retirement. Now, Ricky and Lucy, they use the market-based approach. Their focus is to stay in the stock market, and when the market goes down, just ride it out. It's always going to recover. All right, so that's Ricky and Lucy. Fred and Ethel focus on income for their retirement. They want predictable, reliable, permanent income. They want to enjoy life without any chaos and any stress. And they follow the advice of a retirement income specialist. So this is what Ricky and Lucy's account looks like. In 2000, there's $1 million in the stock market. Okay, 1 million in the stock market in 2000. Well, let me back up from this. A lot of what we see are people who have this type of income strategy. So we see a lot of people that have that. Again, there's two ways to take the income. This is the first kind, using the 4% rule. They're taking out $40,000 a year to live on. Now, if you notice in the first 3 years, you'll see the 3 red arrows. That means that the stock market was down for 3 years in a row. I don't know if you remember that or not. I certainly do, because it just felt like that the market would never stop going down. Now, can you imagine retiring in 2000, most of your money in the stock market, and your $1 million drops to $510,000 after 3 years? Think you'd be feeling a little stressful. Maybe there's some chaos in your family. Maybe you're thinking that we should have waited to retire. See, this, what my team and I call this, is if-come. That's if-come. When you're retired, this is one of the worst withdrawal strategies. Write that down. This is one of the worst withdrawal strategies that any retiree can do. So by the end of the 20 years, the 1 million has dropped to $345,000. Almost 2/3 of your money was lost. Why? Well, look at the red arrows. 5 bad years out of 20. 5 bad years out of 20 years took away 2/3 of your assets, your hard-earned money. You see, the stock market provides if-come. It does not provide permanent income. In a distribution phase of retirement, time is no longer your friend. Matter of fact, time is public enemy number one when you retire. You don't have the luxury to wait for the stock market to recover during retirement. So for this period here, from 2000 out to 2019, that annual return was roughly 5%. This is why averages do not tell the true story when it comes to income distribution. Now, we recommend that once people get into that transition stage, a couple of years before they actually retire, that they start shifting their focus from accumulation growth strategies to income strategies. Growth strategies to income strategies. Now, if you would like for us to do an income stress test as part of your analysis, schedule a call with us. This is the right way to take income during retirement. This is the right way. This method provides reliable, predictable, permanent income. You see, Fred and Ethel, they were aware that in that transition phase between accumulation and growth and between the distribution stage when you retire and start taking money out of your accounts, they understood that they had to make that change from growth to income as they got closer to retirement. See, they wanted steady income and they want to protect their money. In this case, $1 million again in 2000, they've taken out $40,000 each year. At the end of 20 years, they still have $1 million. Now, this method reduces stock market risk. It protects or provides permanent income. That permanent income ensures that you stay in control of your lifestyle. Remember, once you lose control of your lifestyle, for whatever reason it is extremely difficult to regain that control. That's why it's so important to make sure that you keep control of your lifestyle. Ask yourself these two questions. Do you have enough permanent income to cover your basic living expenses for the next 20, 25, 30 years? Whatever that amount is that going to be enough for 20, 25, 30 years? Second question, have you done all you can do to either reduce, eliminate, or transfer the major risk of retirement? Have you done all you can do? If you answer no to either one of those, you've got some more work to do. Now, before you can find the solutions that will address the major risk, you must become aware of what they are and how they can ruin your retirement. Write that down. By the way, too, I forget sometimes to say take a screenshot. So if you want to take a screenshot, you're welcome to do that as well. But write this down. Before you can find the solutions that will address the major risk, you must become aware, one, of what they are, and two, how they can ruin your retirement. It's not what you make in retirement, it is what you keep. Retirees live on income. I'd write that down too. Retirees live on income. Now, if you want to see how the true income method could work for you, take advantage of our offer. Okay. Which approach would give you peace of mind? Is it the market-based that Ricky and Lucy have, and now they have less than $350,000? Or is it the income-focused strategy that Fred and Ethel used? And now, after 20 years, they still have $1 million. See, this is the difference between working with a retirement income strategist or specialist versus an advisor who only uses growth strategies. Are you prepared for the next storm? They're unpredictable, but they can be planned for. I mentioned earlier, we've got a Fed meeting tomorrow. Who knows how the market's going to react to that news, good or bad. We got GDP numbers coming out tomorrow. If that shows a second quarter in a row with negative GDP, that means officially we're in a recession. Guess what? Most of us think we're already in one anyway. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You don't need the government to tell you that. Something else has been happening in the last couple of days too. Several of the big name companies have actually reported earnings, and they have missed earnings. Walmart, Target, Google, Amazon. They all have reported that they missed their expected earnings for the last quarter. What does that mean? That means people are already spending less money. I'm going to come back to this again. You should not just ride it out if it's causing you anxiety, loss of sleep. If you want to maintain your lifestyle and ensure that you maintain your lifestyle during your retirement, if you have at least 10 years left during retirement, if you're currently taking income, and if you have to take RMDs. So what have we discovered so far? The history of the market and why you should not just ride it out. Steps that can be taken to protect and even capitalize from them. And proper planning is the key to dealing with the unexpected. Bad news is inevitable. And as I mentioned earlier, you must plan for the what ifs so that they do not surprise you during retirement. Step one, chart a course. What's the best way to do that? Well, you'll have a great start by taking our offer. This is a complete retirement planning analysis. We will review your accounts to determine what is at risk, what is stable and secure, not at risk. We will help you determine if you have sufficient assets and income to survive in retirement. We will help you determine if you will outlive your money. Now, in order to take advantage of the offer, you must stay with us until the end. Your retirement. 3 questions, and you can place these in the chat box as well. Are you taking too much risk? Do you have too much money in the stock market? Now, you could also talk about inflation risk, long-term care risk, taxation risk. There are a lot of risk out there when you retire. Are you paying too much in taxes, and will you outlive your money? So, as part of our analysis, this is one page of our report. Sometimes there's old saying about the picture's worth 1,000 words. I think this is definitely the case for this. So our analysis will review your risk and assess your tolerance. You can see here on the left-hand side, that's the current allocation. We actually met with this person a few weeks ago. $950,000 in an IRA account. 22% of that was in low risk. 72% was at high risk, and then 6% was in emergency. Now, we also do a personality and a risk tolerance test as well. So we if people are willing to do that, it is something that's very helpful. And through that, this particular person said, well, I feel like I'm a fairly conservative person. I live a frugal life. So I would say I'm conservative. But when you look at it in black and white, this person has 72% of the $950,000 at risk. That is not conservative. That's aggressive. This person is 65 years old. Okay. Sometimes, and we see this a lot, sometimes an individual's personal goals are not connected to their financial goals. So you have to find a way to reconnect those two things. So we ended up with this person, the desired allocation ended up 45% in the low risk. Okay, before it was 22%. 45% in the at risk. Before it was 72%. And then 10% in emergency and 6% in emergency before. So the current allocation on the left, the desired allocation on the right. Again, I mentioned that we will do a income stress test for you. This is what this is. We will review your current lifetime income, and then we'll project what your income could possibly be in the future. And it will help you determine what your chances are of running out of money during retirement. Good planning is all about factoring in the possibility and the impact of negative news, stock market loss, higher taxes, death, disability, inflation. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you're considering making a change that will give you a better retirement outcome, the best time to do that is now. I spoke with a person today. We were talking about Roth conversion and how the tax rates are going to automatically go up if nothing's done about them at the end of 2025. So those are the Trump taxes. If nothing, the tax rates, if nothing is done, they will automatically revert back to the higher tax rates under Obama. So there is some urgency there to go ahead and make a decision how you're going to get a better outcome as far as taxation goes. You see, procrastination is not a good solution. It does not make the problem go away. Matter of fact, it makes it worse. Now, I'll admit, staying in the status quo is more comfortable and it takes less effort. But sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone so that you can ensure that you keep control of your lifestyle during retirement. Now, what can cause you to lose control of your lifestyle? Well, one of those things is your health. I mentioned my grandparents. My grandfather got Parkinson's disease, and that just controlled his life from then on until the day he died. Other things that can cause you to lose control is having too much money in the market, stock market risk, higher inflation. I was reading an article earlier today, and it said that if we average 4% inflation for a 12-year period, in 12 years, you would need 50% more money just to live the same lifestyle that you live today, 50% more. I also saw something today where it said that over the last year, that rent in mobile home parks has gone up over 40%. 1 year, rent in a mobile home park, and this is a national average, 1 year the rent in a mobile home park is up over 40%. And what's so frustrating about our current situation is that a good portion of it has been manufactured. And this could have been avoided. Now is not the time to retreat. Be proactive. Take action. Take control. Who is the CFO of your finances? Is it you? Is it your advisor? Who's going to take control? Take advantage of our offer. This is not the time to stick your head in the sand and hope for the best. Okay. I want to congratulate you for making it all the way to the end. Our offer is, again, a complete retirement planning analysis. We're going to review your accounts and determine what is at risk and what is not at risk, what is stable and secure. We're going to help you determine if you're going to have enough income to survive in your retirement. We'll help you to determine what the probability is of you outliving your money. Now, in order to take advantage of this offer, you must schedule a call with us tonight. I've got the offer at the top of the chat box. Click on that click on the schedule call. That'll take you straight to the pages to sign up for that. Now, just in case I don't get to your question tonight, here's my contact info. So you've got my email address, you've got my phone number there. If we don't get to your question tonight, we don't get to answer it, email me and we'll get you an answer. Also, you can visit the company website there as well. Okay, so phone number, email address, and my company website. Now, we would usually charge $1,200 for this type of retirement analysis, and it is worth every single penny of that. However, if you schedule a call tonight, we will do this for you complimentary, and we're glad to do that. That is our way of thanking you for attending the webinar. Now, to make the most of the call, please have your statements out for your 401ks, your IRAs, 403Bs, 457s, TSPs, all of your retirement account statements. Please have those out during the call. This is also huge as well. And if you are married, we highly recommend that both spouses be on the call. Now, lots of times we're told that one spouse makes all the decisions and the other spouse really doesn't have any interest in it. And that's fine. However, your retirement includes your spouse. Don't you think that your spouse should hear this information from the horse's mouth? Now, this offer is not for everyone. We certainly don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste ours. And this is not for you if you have an advisor that you're working with that has done a really good job of protecting you from losses in 2008, 2020, and so far in 2022. If you're a person on a risk scale of 1 to 10 and you're a 9 or a 10, and you're okay with most of your money being at risk, then this is not for you. Now, if you enjoy handling all your financial needs, you don't see any value in working with a retirement income specialist, this is not for you. So let's go back to the offer here. Once you click on the schedule your call, a page will pop up. It looks just like this page. This shows that I've got, I think there are 2 times that I've got available, tomorrow and Thursday. And then you'll have to go into August, and it's very easy to go to August. If you look over this arrow that points to the right, it's above Saturday. Just click on that arrow and it'll take you to my August calendar. So every blue dot is a day. You pick a day that works best for you. You'll be taken to, and this is my August calendar too, so that's what that looks like. The second page is the time slot page. So in this case, 9, 9:30, 10. You pick a time that works best for you. And then finally, this is the last page. You enter your information. Please share with us why you would like to take advantage of our offer. You can put that down in the section where it says, please share anything that would help us prepare. This will help us determine what you want to talk about during our call. And don't forget to hit the schedule event button. So I'm going to bring that slide in back up. Okay. To make this really worthwhile, you will need to have, again, your 401k, IRA, 403b statements in front of you. If you're married, we highly recommend that both spouses be on the call. Even if one spouse makes an investment decisions and the other really has no interest, that other spouse still should be informed and hear this information from the horse's mouth. Okay, I've got someone that wants the email address here, so I'm going to quickly type in my email address. All right, and I will also provide the phone number. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back. Someone asked me to go back and show this again, so I will go back and do that. This is once you click on the button, it'll show you the 2 days, the 2 dots, blue dots there. You pick a time and a day that works best for you. Once you've done that, there'll be another page, second page that comes up with the time slots. You pick the time that works for you. And then the third page is to put in your information. And another person's asking for the contact info as well, so I will go back to that. That is, hopefully you all can see that. If you can, just type in yes in the chat box that you see the slide with my contact info. So you've got the phone number, the email address. I also have typed that into the chat box. All right, and I will slide the offer back in here again in case you missed it. Okay. I'm going to wrap things up by asking you one question, and that question is, what is the one thing from the webinar tonight that you would like to apply to your retirement situation? If you like, you can type that into the chat box. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. We hope that we've answered most of your questions tonight. I want to go back here and just take a look at some questions and see if I can answer those. I want to congratulate you again for spending the time and taking the time to educate yourself on whether or not there's a better outcome for your retirement. So have a good night and take care. Let me go through and see if we've got any questions. Okay. I don't see any. Well, I do see one here. How to stop the bleeding. Yes, our risk reduction strategies will help with that. Okay. I think that's about it. Again, have a good night and take care.